and the judge, so please don't speed in our city. We'll give you a warning. I want to thank everybody for coming. I understand this is a very important conversation for a lot of people, not only here in the city of St. Hedwig, but in Guadalupe County as well. I appreciate we have Commissioner Germain here, and that he's here to answer any questions I'm sure you have for him. I'm not sure how Howard Energy would like to run this, so in a moment I'm going to have their folks come up and they can tell you how the process is going to work. I just want to take a moment. One of the problems that we have in city government is rumor control. And I would like very much to take 2 seconds to just clarify some rumors that we've heard and seen on social media. And I'm not speaking for the city of St. Hedwig, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking as far as what some people may have heard about the city. And the first rumor that has come to me was that the city fully supports and endorses this pipeline. And I want to be very clear, we do not. We bought the Green Valley SUV, we bought the cell towers, and we understand the power of utilities companies. And to be fair to Howard Energy, they came and talked to us when we asked them to. They offered to put on this town hall to give opportunities for you to talk, and we appreciate that. But if you hear people say that this pipeline is coming right through the center of our city because the city endorsed it or approved of it, we did not. We don't feel that this plan is the best interest of our citizens. And again, we understand utilities will do what they need to do. But I just want to be clear that this is not sponsored, it's not paid for, it's not being paid to the city to have this pipeline come in. And I just wanted to make that statement before we went into this. We do have a couple of councilmen here. Councilman Padalecki is with us. And Councilman, you stand up, sir. Councilman Beck is here. I don't know if we have any other council members. I and the council members are happy to answer any questions related to the city. We wouldn't presume to speak for Howard Energy. But we're here to answer what questions we can about the city's role in this and everything. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Thank you very much.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Megan Morrison. I'm in Community Affairs for Howard Energy Partners. We recognize you have lots of questions, and that's the goal tonight, is to give you information. I've got over a dozen people here from Howard Energy Partners to stay as late as we need to stay to answer your questions. So before we get started, I want to just give you a lay of the land. In the back, if you're with Howard, if you'll raise your hand, please. Any of these individuals can answer your questions, and if they can't, they'll point you in the right direction. So find somebody with a name tag, and we'll get you to where you need to be, okay? In the back, I've got operations, who can also speak to pipeline safety. Over here in this corner, I've got right-of-way and land. They can speak to the pipeline route and answer questions about, your specific area. And then over here, I have engineering and construction. They can speak to the construction process. So with that, I would like to open it up now for you all to be able to start walking around, answering specific questions. Again, if you need more information, we've got fact sheets, we've got pipeline overview documents, we've got contact information here in the back. So I encourage you to grab a cup of coffee, grab a water, grab a cookie, and I encourage you to start walking around and finding the individuals that can best answer your questions. And again, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much. And again, we recognize you have questions. We've set this up so that you guys can walk around, we can answer your questions. We want to be as efficient with everyone's time. And we're here. That is the whole reason why we're here. We've brought over 12 people to answer your questions. So again, I encourage you, if you have a specific question and you don't know where to go, find somebody with an HEP name tag, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But we so appreciate you being here, and I'll open it up.
We want to hear what everybody
We want
has
to hear
to
what
say.
everybody has to say.
We want to hear everybody's questions.
I'm going to bring in two of the VPs from Howard Energy Partners. We're going to dedicate 15 minutes to answering your questions. We got to be efficient because we've got to be able to, if people have individual conversations that they need to have, we've got to be able to have those. But that gives you all the chance to ask questions. Does that work? Okay. Let me quickly introduce, and I want to say thank you again. I recognize you all have questions. I recognize maybe there's some information about the project. We want to be transparent. That's the whole goal of being here tonight. And so I appreciate the fact that you guys are here. I want to let these gentlemen introduce themselves.
I'm Manuel McBride, I oversee gas pipeline operations for Howard Energy Partners. Good evening, my name is Jesse Wilson. Operations. Oh, can y'all hear me? Good evening. My name is Chester Bullard. I oversee the Gulf Coast operations and also our safety team. Is this better now? Manuel McBride. I oversee natural gas pipeline operations for Howard Energy Partners.
Hi folks, good evening. My name is Mitch Smolik, Vice President of Engineering at Howard Energy.
My name is Janice Cotter. Is the Texas Commission on Environment and Quality part of your team taxes impact of the proposed natural gas line on the ecology?
Yeah, appreciate the question for sure. There are a number of regulatory bodies that we will have to seek permitting from. So right now we're in this really early stage where we're trying to determine where to put this line so we can turn in our permits and say, hey guys, this is where we want to put it. Can we get a permit? So specifically, the TCEQ, yes, there will be multiple interactions with the TCEQ.
Hi, I'm Brenda Cundy, and we have property in New Berlin, and y'all have proposed that it's going to go right down the middle of our property. Can you explain why pipeline cannot go 1604, Interstate 10 to Seguin? Why can't it stay on the right-of-ways, the county right-of-ways, or the state right-of-ways?
So great question, and I've had, before I was in the pipeline industry, I had that question myself, honestly, and it's just typical practice that we do not put anything in TxDOT right-of-ways because it's a riskier place to put it from a potential digging and line strike type perspective. That being said, we always, doesn't matter what the situation is, we always have to go to the landowner. So just because you see an easement out there where somebody else has something, that doesn't give us the right to go there. So we have to negotiate that with the landowner themselves. Does that answer?
So it's more dangerous to put it on the county right-of-ways or the state right-of-ways? Is that what you're saying? But why is it more dangerous?
Just from the probability of other folks digging there, doing construction there, it's not normal to route next to existing roads, right next to existing roads. It does happen from time to time, but the safest way that we can do this typically is negotiating directly with landowners and staying some distance away. Now, you may see our line follow roads, but we're going to be set back a bit typically.
So I'm Clayton Cruzy. In this community, these farms have been in families for generations. I mean, what recourse does a property owner have? If you don't want this on your property, do you have any recourse or do you just condemn it anyway?
Well, great question. I think somebody must have turned this off. All right, let's try that. So to answer your question as wholeheartedly as I can, sometimes imminent domain happens, but we seek to not do that. So I would encourage you to reach out to our right-of-way team, and if there's opportunities to reroute, we do that first, all the time. If there's some reason that we're hemmed in and can't do this job, which the job that we're doing is, frankly, is keeping the lights on, right?
But not for us.
Yeah, it is. When you look around at these power plants in the area, Calavera, Seguin, if you're getting electricity at your homes, which most of you are, I assume, those electrons are coming from these power plants, whether you're a CPS customer or not. So this project, we care a lot about landowners, we care a lot about communities. We want to work with you 100%. Every once in a while, we get hemmed in, or we can't do anything except go through a property, maybe that person doesn't really want us. That's a negotiation. So I encourage you guys to get with the right-of-way team contact and start talking. There may be a solution that is a win-win.
I have a question. My name is Terry Cruzy. Mr. Bullard, I know you because you're from Livonia. And let me ask you this, and I want to answer from all three of you, please. If this was your house, would you want one running 100 feet by your house or on your property? Would you want that? Would you want that, or would you want that? Your pipeline, would you want it on your house?
So, obviously, I don't mind having all these guys answer, but you guys hear me? Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, fair question. I mean, we do a lot to keep pipelines safe. We do things like run inline inspection tools to test thickness and make sure we don't have a corrosion problem that may not be understood just by being on the right of way. We actually look inside the pipes and see if there's a corrosion issue happening. There's right of way, aerial patrols in some cases, drone patrols. There's all sorts of things that we do to make sure that bad things don't happen on our pipelines. So there's about 3 million miles of similar pipeline in the U.S. as of today. So a lot of us, including myself, do have pipelines going through property that they own. If there was an opportunity to have it not as close to my house, yeah, I would want that just from a property value perspective, right? But in terms of do I mind it on my property, I personally don't.
Yeah, I think, hear me all right?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I lived in Houston a few years ago and actually had 3 pipeline easements in my backyard. I would be more comfortable with my own pipeline in my backyard than somebody else's. But to Mitch's point, there's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into pipeline safety. It's regulated at the federal level. It's regulated by the Department of Transportation. And there are books and books and books and books of standards that we must follow, that we get audited on a regular basis to ensure we are following those rules. It's kind of Mitch's point. I would prefer it to not be there, but.
Yeah, so my answer is going to be, I don't believe that we would put it within 100 feet of your house or your residence. We would certainly want to work around your property so that we could optimize the route to minimize any exposure. To Manuel's point, there are a lot of regulations in place that keep pipelines safe. Mitch had mentioned there's over 3 million miles of gas pipelines in service today. We've got a very stringent internal inspection program that we will implement on this pipe. We will have a 24-hour monitoring from our control center that's here in San Antonio. We'll have any emergency shutdown valves along the route if there's ever any sort of issue that we can close that valve remotely. We will have a crew of line locate team out here to mark the line at any point in time that you need it marked. I encourage anybody in any digging to dial 811, give them their information, and within 48 hours that line will be marked so you know exactly where it's at, what the depth of that line is. And so, again, as living here in the community, as most of y'all know, the recent hurricane or the winter storm Uri knocked out ERCOT's power. Part of our strategy and our purpose is to provide positive energy to our communities. By bringing additional power into these power plants will stabilize the ERCOT grid and will be a good thing for all of us. So minimum, from a regulatory perspective, is 36 inches from top of pipe to coverage. Depending on the location, there will be some areas we will drill under roads and under locations, so it'll be extremely deep. And then if we pass any other pipeline system, we will most likely go under their pipe. So depending on where they're at, we will be 2 feet below their bottom of the pipe.
So 3 feet deep in the ground, and how big is the pipe?
It's down here it's a 24-inch line, so 24-inch OD. So I know a lot of you guys either may farm yourselves or you may know farmers in the region. That's one of the concerns is you get in there with a ripper and this pipe's 36 inches deep. That's not the case. If we have agricultural activities, if it's a farm field, we do go deeper than that, 48 inches or even more than that, depending on the need. So that's something to talk about, make sure we understand. Obviously, if we see a cultivated field, we're going to be aware of that. But if you have concerns, definitely speak with your right-of-way contact about that. So at this stage, everything is a negotiation. So we have not invoked any kind of eminent domain authority at this point. So if you want something, I would encourage you to talk to that right-of-way agent. He has the authority of our company to deal with you.
And the gates are going to be locked all the time? We don't even know what's in our backyard.
Yeah.
Everybody's going in and out.
Sorry, if someone has a question, could you either repeat the question so everybody can hear it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So her question was about gates being locked and the concern of people going in and out. I would add to Mitch's point earlier, it is not uncommon for us in easement stipulations and easement negotiations for you to require us to notify you of our entry.
I've had other companies come in and they're leaving the gates open. There's people are coming in my backyard. I don't know what's in my backyard. They're coming in and stealing their stuff.
Of course, so the gates will be locked.
I've heard that.
I understand. We will have a lock on the gate. The landowner has a lock on the gate. And again, per right-of-way agreement, it is not uncommon for us to have a 24-hour, 48-hour notice required for entry on that easement.
We've probably got time for one or two more questions, so.
I'll try to make this one count then. Hey y'all, my name is David Gurman. I'm from Guadalupe County, just off of 775 pretty much. First I want to start off a couple housekeeping things. I do applaud y'all for having this. I appreciate y'all coming out. And I appreciate the Guadalupe County folks who made it over here. I know it's just a little bit of a hop, skip, and jump, but anyway, recently I was in the Air Force, just got out, and I'm coming back to this kind of thing. I'm not really surprised because we have some family land that has 4 easements on it, so kind of used to this kind of CRAP. But anyway, first I want to talk about the narrative of transparency, and then I'll get to my questions. My mom first saw these folks putting stakes in the county right-of-way without letting the county know and without letting anybody else in the area know in Guadalupe County. But probably the same for Bexar County on July 9th of this year. On July 14th, we received the letter that we were told we were going to receive about this pipeline, and it was dated July 10th, which was already, in fact, after the July 9th date. Then the Railroad Commission permit was approved on July 29th. So that's my first question, is how can a pipeline be proposed, routes being drawn, albeit very, very vague, without the Railroad Commission's permit in the first place?
Yeah, great question, and I certainly cherish the opportunity to answer that. So one of the things that we have to have in order to submit that, to get our initial T4 Railroad Commission permit, we have to have the route somewhat understood. And if you guys have been on the website or seen some of the maps here, it is a little bit of a wide path that's drawn with the understanding that the route's going to change a bit as we go. That could happen, right? So the first step in this process is what we call initial survey, and that's what we're doing right now. That's what Mr. Governor was talking about here. So until we get that, it's really hard to talk about permitting. Like everybody has to, there's 20 different permitting authorities that we need to deal with, let's say. All of them want to know where that pipeline's going. So unless we know where that pipeline's going, we don't get any permits. And that T4 with the Railroad Commission, that's just an initial, essentially heads up type statement to them. Does that answer your question?
Well, I want to ensure that the permit that is on your website is in fact the T4 permit, because Donna Campbell's office says the T4 permit is what comes next, after the permit that is published on your website currently.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, honestly. Lucy, do you have a,
I know, like you mentioned, the T4 is the operating permit, and so we do submit that with the Railroad Commission to give them notice of the pipeline. We will amend that once we have a finalized route, but it is part of the process that we do on the front end. Sometimes we do it closer to construction. Typically, most pipelines would, but we know many people are interested to see it and know that the Railroad Commission had approved it. So that's one of the reasons why we did it early on, to notify them and put the general.
So an amended T4 will be filed with the Railroad Commission in order to meet the parameters that they hold true.
that's right. So in that amended permit, that may be, the route could change significantly, right? We're still in this negotiating phase. We're still in initial survey, so there's a lot of work to be done.
I want to make sure y'all heard what Lucy said. I think it's really important. So I'm going to let her say that again.
So talking about the T4 permit, again, that is typically a permit that's submitted later in the process. Most of our pipelines, we don't submit that until closer to construction. Like we mentioned, because that is your operating permit and the route that you're permitting with the Railroad Commission. Again, we wanted to get that out on the public record and get that permit from the Railroad Commission. The amendment that we would do would just be for the final route that we have acquired and built, as-built construction. And we typically, most pipeline companies would amend that to do your final as-built route so that the Railroad Commission has the most accurate location of that pipeline for 811 calls, and so that people can know where that pipeline is and who they can call if they have questions about it.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Can I let them ask a question real quick and we can come back? I want to make sure we get everybody.
Hi, Gary Booth, I'm just a resident here, and I don't think it's going to my property, but the question is this an industrial pipeline that won't serve anybody's community other than, maybe supplying power companies? But the other point is, why is it going through St. Hedwig? Why couldn't it possibly have a couple alternate routes?
Yeah, great question. Two parts. First part, is this an industrial pipeline that doesn't serve anybody? It serves a lot of LDC customers, we call them. So it'll be, like when you use gas in your home, a lot of folks in San Antonio will be taking gas from this pipeline. And of course, it serves these power plants as well. So as Chester mentioned a minute ago, this whole project is about the need for more reliable power in the state of Texas. So in some cases, maybe our state hasn't done that great in planning for power, and now it's catch-up time. And so this is a project that CPS has made part of their overall strategy to make sure that you guys get to keep the lights on.
But CPS denies it.
Yeah, second part of the question was,
Yeah, why St. Hedwig?
oh yeah, of course, why St. Hedwig? So when we lay pipelines, obviously we want to take them from point A to point B. That's the best way to go. So if you start out mapping, you draw a line from point A to point B, that's a starting point. Then you say, okay, what impacts do I have? What do I need to avoid? There's denser areas than St. Hedwig around. So St. Hedwig is less dense in terms of population and impact than some of the surrounding areas. So that's the short answer.
How does it affect our property value?
So, to answer the question kind of quickly, the effect on your property value is intended to be offset by the easement payment. The easement payment? Okay. I'll answer this just real quick, but I would tell you, please go talk to the right-of-way agents out there, because they've got the factual details about compensation. Yes, there's compensation. I don't know specifically per where your property is at, what the easement is. Okay.
Yeah, no, great question, and I feel like there's this kind of air of misinformation about stealing land. We have to pay for it. Like I said, this is not eminent domain time at this point. This is negotiation time. But even in the case that we have to exercise eminent domain authority, we still have to pay you a handsome sum for that right of way. And the agents can talk with you more about that.
Can you hear me? So my name is Lindsay Neiman, and I'm a resident of St. Hedwig. And my question is going back to something that you said earlier, and I just want to clarify for the community. Earlier, one of the first questions asked was about why we couldn't follow, or why you couldn't follow the right-of-ways. And what I heard you say is digging, and that the line might be less safe following the right-of-way. But as a citizen of St. Hedwig, what I'm hearing is your line will be more safe from, I guess, not following the call before you dig of your own department. Are you not under the same department? Do you not both all fall under the Department of Transportation? And what that says to me is you expect homeowners to be more compliant than your own department. Is that true or not true?
Okay, to kind of follow up on some earlier comments about the route and why we don't follow Department of Transportation and highway routes. You think about they've got drainage ditches they're having to continue to keep clean. They're putting in telephone poles for communication, constantly digging in those areas. The line locate that will happen when somebody calls the 811 system will be a Howard employee. And they will be there within 48 hours to mark that line and the depth of cover on that line.
Why should we care about this line more than the department, like respecting this line for the Department of Transportation? It's going across these people's properties. It's going to prevent things that they can do on their property, plant trees, do things. Why should they care more than being, a partnership with your own department? I guess that's my question for.
I guess I'm confused a little bit on we don't work for the Department of Transportation. We're regulated by the State Department of Transportation. So we don't have the ability to do work in partnership with them. There's no difference in how we would approach that route. We still have to get Department of Transportation permits for road crossings, for any significant crossing that crosses the Department of Transportation owned right of way. We will have to get permitted to cross that right of way.
Am I correct in that the line is somewhat pressurized? What happens to the line when the power plant's shut down? A power plant or power
plants? This natural gas pipeline is pressurized. It's pressurized at somewhere between 700 and 800 psi. The way the gas flows down the line, only gas that comes in can leave. Does that make sense? If a barrel of gas comes in, only a barrel of gas can leave. If 100 barrels of gas comes in, 100 barrels of gas has to leave. That's the way it's engineered and designed to ensure there's no overpressure risk that is imminently dangerous to the community.
Where does the gas go when the power plant shuts down?
It stays on its pipelines that are 100 miles away. Or where it comes from, out of the well, something along those lines.
Yeah, so if the gas stops flowing, it just sits there in the pipe, the valves get shut, and it just sits there doing nothing until the plant starts again. Just like the water in your water pipes at the house.
Mine is more a comment than a question, and I hope that's okay. I've got 31 acres of land. I've had my surveyor look at the proposed route, which covers my 100% of my west fence and 100% of my north fence. So I asked the surveyor to look at that for me. And that takes away 7.6 acres from my 31 acres. Thank you. So my only comment is, if you should have, look at that and, as an individual, and see what the line is going to encompass on your land. Thank you.
That's a great question, a great comment. So I would encourage everybody who's a landowner to reach out to the right-of-way contact and say, hey, tell me more. Tell me where you want to put this line. Tell me why. Tell me, can you move it over here? Can you point it this way? Can you get it away from this tree that I like? Those kind of conversations need to be had, guys. That's part of our process. That's one of the ways in which we partner with communities. So reach out, talk to people. We're going to do what we can.
Thank you for being here tonight. I'm actually out in Guadalupe County, and this is my first opportunity to learn something, a little bit more about this project. Just like everybody else here, 3 weeks ago, mid-July, got the letter about getting approval for the survey. Didn't sign it, didn't return it, okay? Need to do some more research. This morning, I got a call from a lawyer from San Antonio, wanting to talk about this project. Why? No idea. I didn't return the call. Wanted to do some more homework. Come to find out also, after talking to Guadalupe County, there was a representative from the county at the courthouse representing 2 landowners in Guadalupe County who were served. Okay, not by an individual. It was in the mailbox or a door hanger to appear at the court. The county representative went out there with the landowners. There were 2 of them. They showed up at 9 o'clock. Not one from your company showed up. So the court dismissed the case for now. So why am I getting a call from a lawyer? I'm already upset, just like everybody else here, getting that letter out of nowhere. And I didn't respond because I needed to do some more homework. And now I'm being contacted by a lawyer for what reason? Does anybody answer that?
Yeah, I appreciate you being here tonight. We're open to hearing from you. We'd love to talk with you more this evening. So I know you're going to have questions probably that we may not get answered up here, but we definitely want to talk with you more. And that concept of a temporary restraining order is part of the code in the state of Texas. So it's a process that does happen sometimes. If we do our job perfectly and all of the landowners are willing to talk to us, we would love if we didn't ever do that. Like we didn't ever have to do that. That would be great. I'm sorry that you're negatively impacted by it. We don't want that to happen. But that is part of the process. But now, what happens at this point, it simply becomes a negotiation. So reach out to us, please.
Okay. I've got a secondary follow-up question. So, I think you mentioned by ordinance or law that, you can't build a pipeline 100 feet from a residence. I've already got 2 easements before I bought my property in Cibolo, an old pipeline and a main water line right in the middle of my property. So that was already there on the easement. Dan moved in. AT&T comes in and tore up my front, 700 feet and all that. So that was 5 years ago. I'm still dealing with erosions from that. I had to call him about a month later after, hey, can you level it a little bit? It's still not there. The water company's been there a couple of times over the years, 30 plus years, luckily. And every time they dig in, fix it, it's the same thing happens. It's not ever the same. And we're talking about 700 feet in front of my property that you guys are gonna tear up. My question is, across the street from me, there's nobody, it's just a ranch. Nobody lives there. And just right across, and you're running across the line across properties with houses, right across is about a quarter of a mile when there's nobody there. What's the rhyme and reason for not doing that? I'm not against what you guys are doing. I understand progress, but I still got to take, like everybody else here, we're concerned about, not just, I don't need the money, okay? So I just don't, I already got 3 easements in front of my property, then there's nothing across my property here. What's the rhyme and reason? I don't understand. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. I guess first is the erosion concerns. Definitely talk to your right-of-way agent about that. Bring those kind of concerns up. Get with us, during after construction. If you don't like the way your property was left, you're going to have our phone numbers, guys. The other thing was, why don't we put it on the property across from you? Yeah. So talk to your right-of-way contact. You talk to them at night. We have probably 5 or 6 people here that are very familiar with the route. And you know what? There's a chance that we made a mistake. I'll just be open with you guys. That happens. Or there could be some reason that I don't know about that line should go in your property. But I can't tell you unless you reach out and talk to us, and we'll work with you and we'll answer your questions. If you're not comfortable, you say, hey, I don't want that check. Could you please reroute? We're going to look at that, right? We're going to take that to heart. We're going to do our best to keep the community as happy for us to be here as we can possibly have you.
So is not signing the paperwork for the survey, is that enough? I don't like the route.
So you're asking if you don't sign the paperwork, is that an out for you?
Well, like I said, if I don't, if I can negotiate that, you're saying that there's always that. Well, if I don't sign that paperwork.
Yeah, so in
I don't need your permission.
Yes, sir.
To do the survey, yeah.
Understood. We have the right by law to do the survey. We're guaranteed that in the state of Texas. But then there starts a whole other process. It starts with negotiation. Then comes an offer letter. Ideally you want us there and we make a good deal and you walk away happy. That's what we like to do. We like to make good deals. If you don't, we just continue down that negotiation path. In some extreme circumstance where there's no way for us to reasonably reroute and you don't want the check, then in that case, that might trigger an eminent domain action at that point. But we're going to do our best to steer away from that and steer towards making good deals.
I want to avoid that too. So, okay, thank you.
I would also say that we've got pictures of our restoration, right-of-way restoration in the back. And so, feel free as we wrap this up that go back there, look at those, talk to those land agents. They can share some more information on that.
Dwayne Pavlicki, St. Hedwig, Pittman Road. This question is mainly for the citizens of the Lone Oak, Atkins, St. Hedwig neighborhoods. Why is the origination point at Calaveras Lake opposed to somewhere like southeast Wilson County where the parcels of land are much bigger and where your gas production actually exists?
So where this outer loop pipeline originates is right off just north, I believe, of that Calaveras power plant. There's an existing pipeline that runs down to Kennedy and Karnes City, a 30-inch pipeline that gathers the natural gas from its geological formation and brings it up to the Calaveras power plant already. And so we're starting it there and then bringing it down through this way. Does that answer your question?
Earlier you said point A to point B. Gas production is in a lot of us in the southeast corner of Wilson County. I don't know why you can't. I know you've got to have substations around that area. As long as you just go directly north and go back to the north side of San Antonio, which is where you're getting.
Sure, so if everybody couldn't hear that, he was asking about some existing infrastructure in southern Wilson County. We don't own any infrastructure in Wilson County. We don't own that pipeline that runs to the Calaveras power plant. We are purely this infrastructure project for us is purely to take gas from that 30-inch pipeline up to Calaveras Point that's already in service and already there, and extend it east and north.
I have a question. Sir, what happens to, how safe is it to do EMP or the EMP Are you covered if there's an EMP that takes place? Does it interfere with your work that you're doing?
An EMP, like electromagnetic pulse?
Pulse, yeah.
I can answer that. It's actually a great question that I was not at all prepared for. This pipeline has automated safety devices all the way down the length of it. And those safety devices are always a fail-safe or fail-closed position. So if it loses its power supply, battery, solar panel, whatever may be powering it, if it loses that power, it will go into a automated failed position, which would be the safe position. Sure. How far apart are the safety valves? It changes up and down the route, but it's somewhere between 10 miles and 6 miles.
And this blows up one of these days accidentally. I'll say it's not. I'll see. How far is it that you have to get from there before it blows up?
She was asking about, I guess, kind of a blast radius or damage radius if the pipeline does blow up. I don't know that I can answer that question. Mitch, I don't know if you could.
You can Google it. The U.S. Department of Transportation has a graph that on the internet. And if you put in the right words, it'll come up, and it will tell you they have a 24-inch pipe at 800 psi. It will give you the X and Y of the diameter of the pipe and the PSI and tell you what the hazard radius is. For their pipe, I was estimating 1,000 psi is what I had heard. It's 400 to 500 feet is the hazard radius. As a prior security forces officer in the Air Force, I don't know what hazard area means. It can mean a lot of different things, but that's what it says on the graph that's online. And it's labeled U.S. Department of Transportation.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's probably not far off in terms of what a potential blast radius could be, but our job as a responsible operator is to make sure that that doesn't happen, right? We live in these communities, we have people this side of town, our office is in the middle of San Antonio. By the way, we'll be taking this line right down the middle of Stone Oak into the north side. So you guys are relatively removed from the pipeline compared to some places where we have to take this gas to serve the city. So it's something that's done every day. I'm not going to tell you that pipelines aren't without risk. I'm just going to say that you drive over a bunch of them every day, and driving is a lot more dangerous than those pipelines. Yeah, you bet. So the question is about plowing. If you have agricultural operations, if you're plowing across it, for those of you who are farmers, if you have a big tractor with a ripper with big old tines, that pipe's not going to be 3 foot deep. We're going to put it deeper in agricultural fields than 3 feet. We're going to put it as deep as it needs to be safe. So get with us on that. We will make sure that you will not plow over the pipeline. That's our job as responsible operators.
But if you project your pipeline, it's on your fence line, and if you have to keep the fence clear, that could be a real problem. Okay, I'm sorry. The projected gas line is on my fence line, the north fence line, that I share with the neighbor. And one of the things that living in a rural area, you have to keep the fence lines. And how are we going to do that if we have to get equipment in there? I had some work done time ago, 20 feet, and the bulldozer could not access one of the fence lines.
Yeah, another good question. She's asking about what if the pipeline runs parallel to a fence? Does it keep you from maintaining that fence? She had real concerns about that. I'm sure other folks might have that concern as well. Ideally, we're going to keep setbacks from fence lines, and we're going to cross them perpendicularly where we can. But if you have a particular situation or it looks like the route is in a place that you don't like, talk to your right-of-way contact.
I would add too, any normal agricultural process is permitted on top of the right-of-way.
Yeah, nothing grows on there besides sunflowers.
Hand that back to me.
We'll answer for you. And I hate to sound like a broken record repeating, talk to the right-of-way agent, the land agent, but again, that is a perfectly normal negotiation in this process, is stipulating what you want planted on your property when the right-of-way is restored.
They tell us that they're gonna come back and replant grass. They have never showed up to plant grass. All they have to plant is on the
We do our absolute best to follow our contracts with our landowners and the communities we work in.
But if it doesn't rain and grass seeds really bad, they'll come back and reseed later.
Yeah, so our standard is to put it back to, leave it how we found it. There are specific requirements that can be negotiated in those easement agreements. So I would encourage you, if you have real concerns about that, you're gonna make sure it's put back the way that you want it. That's something to talk about with us up front.
Okay, guys, I'm going to open it up now for you guys to walk around and have some of these conversations. I just spoke to the mayor. I spoke to...
I've got to know, what are y'all doing for all of these volunteer fire departments who aren't spraying into the gas lines to help them out, give something more to happen?
Awesome final question. And it's something that I actually believe firmly in. I was part of a volunteer fire department in Alpine, Texas when I was in college out there. And in my days there, we did not have any involvement with the local infrastructure, pipelines, power, whatever you want to think it is. One, we are required to do drills with our emergency responders in our local area. But two, we believe firmly in that. We have countless awards from local organizations, federal organizations, and state organizations that prove that. But I would challenge you to find a company, a pipeline company, that interacts more with our local first responders than we do. Honestly.
I want to say thank you again. I know you guys have lots of questions. We want to open it up now. We've talked a lot about having these conversations with right-of-way agents, other people from the team. We want to open it up now for you all to have those conversations. There's contact information in the back. If you have to go, but you want to call them later, please grab that contact information. Please grab some information on the company. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Hey folks, I think there's petitions over by the door too.